Good morning, everyone. Today I am here again with the second part of the chapter Electoral Politics of Class 9th Civics. In the previous video, we discussed about the elections and what make an election democratic, and uh, it is good to have political competitions and its merits and demerits. In this part, we'll discuss how elections are held in India. So, first of all, general elections. What are general elections? Elections are held in all constituencies at the same time, either on the same day or within after days. This is called a general elections. So, like in 2019 general elections, it was held in 7 phases, like from 11th April 2019 to 19 May 2019. So, now by elections. By sometime elections is held only for one constituency or two to fill the vacancy caused by death or resignation of a member. This is called a by-election. Then electoral constituencies. The country is divided into different areas based on population for the purpose of elections. These areas are called electoral constituencies. For Lok Sabha elections, the country is divided into 543 constituencies. Now, the reserve constituencies and need for reserve constituencies. Why these reserve constituencies are required basically. So, some constituencies are reserved for people who belong to the scheduled caste and scheduled tribe. In a reserve constituency, only someone who belongs to the scheduled caste or scheduled tribe can stand for election. Our constitution entitle every citizen in, to elect its representatives and to be elected as a representative. The constitution makers worried that in an open electoral competition, weaker section may not stand a good chance to get elected. Now the voter list. The list of those who are eligible to vote is prepared much before the elections and given to everyone. This list is officially called electoral roll and is commonly known as the voter list. In our country, all the citizens aged 18 years and above can vote in an election. Every citizen has the right to vote regardless of his or her caste, religion, or gender. Some criminal and persons with unsound mind can be denied the right to vote, but only in rare situations. In the last few years, a new system of election photo identity card, that means EPIC, has been introduced. The government has tried to give this card to every person on the voter list. Now the nomination of candidates. Anyone who can be a voter can also become a candidate in elections. The only difference is that in order to be a candidate, the minimum age is 25 years, while it is only 18 years for being a voter. Every person who wishes to contest an election has to fill a nomination form and give some money as security deposits. Now, legal declaration introduced by the Supreme Court for filling nomination papers. Every candidate has to make a legal declaration giving full details of serious criminal cases pending against the candidate. Every candidate has to make a legal declaration giving full details of the assets and liabilities of the candidate and his or her family, and every candidate has to make a legal declaration giving full detail of education qualification of the candidate. So why is there no education qualification for candidate to conduct elections? So educational qualifications are not relevant to all kind of jobs. The relevant qualification for being an MLA or an MP is the ability to understand people's concern, problem and to represent their interest. Even if education was relevant, it should be left to the people to decide how much importance they give to the education qualifications. In our country, putting an education qualification would go against the spirit of democracy for yet another reason. It would mean depriving a majority of the country's citizens the right to contest elections with poor literacy rate. And last, the election campaign. In our country, such campaigns take place for a 2 week period between the announcement of the final list of the candidate and the date of polling. During this period, the candidate contact their voters, political leaders address meetings. Now, the model code of conduct for election campaign or the rule for election campaign for fair and equal chance to compete. According to our election law, no party or candidate can bribe or threaten voters. No party or candidate can appeal to them in the name of caste or religion. No party or candidate can use government resources for election campaign, and no party or candidate can spend more than rupees 25 lakh in a constituency for a Lok Sabha elections or rupees 10 lakh in a constituency in an assembly elections. According to this, no party or candidate can use any place of worship for election propaganda. No party or candidate use government vehicles, aircrafts and official for elections, and once elections are announced, ministers shall not lay foundation stones of any project, take any big policy decisions or make any promises of providing public facilities. So here you can see the polling and counting of the vote. First of all, earlier the ballot box was used. Now the EVM machines are used. That means electronic voting machine. In this machine you can see last nota. Here is mentioned nota. That nota means no, none of the above. So this is option provided by the people if they don't want to cast their vote to any of the candidate, so they can press nota. Because they don't like any candidate, so they can press the nota. Now the Election Commission of India. Election Commission. Election Commission, an independent and a powerful commission, it is appointed by the President of India to conduct free and fair election, is called Election Commission. The commission has appointed by the President. Once it appointed, they are not at all answerable to the President or the government also. So the power and the functions of Election Commission of India. The Election Commissioner take decisions on every aspect of conduct and control of elections, from the announcement of elections to the declaration of result. It implement the code of conduct and punish any candidate or party that violate it. During the election period, the EC can order the government to follow some guidelines to prevent use and misuse of the governmental powers to enhance its chance to win elections or to transfer some government officials. When on election duty, government officials work under the control of the EC and not for the government. This is a very important point. Remember that at the time of election, the government officials, earlier they were working under the government, now they will work for the EC. They will work for the election commission, not for the government. They work according to the election commission at the time of election. Now, the popular participation of the people in elections. People's participation in election is usually measured by voters' turnout figures. Turnout indicated the percentage of eligible voters who actually cast their vote. In India, the turnout has either remained stable or actually gone up. In India, the poor, illiterate, and underprivileged people vote in large proportion as compared to the rich and privileged section. Common people in India attach a lot of importance to elections. They feel that through elections they can bring pressure on political parties to adopt policies and programs favorable to them. The interest of voters in election related activities has been increasing over the years. Now, the challenges to free and fair election in India. Candidate and parties with a lot of money may not be sure of their victory, but they do enjoy a big and unfair advantage over small parties and independent. In some part of the uh, country, candidates with criminal connections have been able to push other out of the electoral race and to secure a ticket from major parties. Some families tend to dominate political parties, that means tickets and distribution to relatives from these families. Very often, elections offer little choice to ordinary citizens, for both the major parties are quite similar to each other, both in policies and practices. Smaller parties and independent candidates suffer a huge disadvantages compared to the bigger parties. So, we have completed this chapter. You can go through some topics like booth capturing, code of conduct, incumbents, level playing fields, and rigging. These are some important topics. So you can go through this like booth capturing, that means the supporter or hired muscle man of party or a candidate, they gain physical control of a polling booth and cast false vote by threatening everyone or by preventing genuine voters from reaching polling booth. And the rigging, that means fraud and malpractice indulged by a party or a candidate to increase vote. It includes stuffing ballot boxes by a few persons using the votes of others, recording multiple votes by the same person, and bribing polling officers to favor a candidate. So hope you like this presentation. Thank you.